you're now live, Mayor Rumba.
All right, it looks like we are live on YouTube, so I will call this special council meeting to order. Please remind everyone to disclose of any pecuniary interests at the appropriate time. And I will go to our first item, which is staff items, and a verbal update from Amanda on the recruitment of the position of the Economic Development and Promotion Specialist. Amanda.
Thanks, Mayor Rumba. So I just have a quick public staffing announcement here to note that we have been successful in the recruitment for this vacancy for the Economic Development and Promotion Specialist position. And Stephanie Catrice was a successful candidate, and she will be joining us next week with her first day on August 23rd. So just wanted to formally and publicly announce that additional recruitment, and welcome Stephanie to Township of Warwick. We look forward to working with her.
Welcome, Stephanie. It'll be great to have a local gal on staff, someone who knows our community quite well. So it'll be great to have her. And we will go on to our first delegation and timed event, which is Chris Learman from Spreets Associates to do his presentation of the sanitary sewer study. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Chris.
Thank you very much. I will provide a quick summary of our draft report. It's the Watford Urban Area Sanitary Sewer Study 2021. The study was prepared in accordance with Township design standards, Ministry of Environment guidelines. The essence of the report was to analyze the existing sanitary system in Watford, to analyze the capacity of the current system. It's based on obviously as-built drawings. We have noted aerial photos clearly of the entire town. We have based the proposed conditions on noted development potential areas within the township. We do perform numerous reviews for Warwick over many years. So we are aware of many developments that are currently proposed. Some are relatively preliminary in nature. Some are a little more advanced. So while we know what the existing sewer shed limits are, determining the ultimate was the initial task for this project to come up with the areas we felt should be addressed in this study. We've incorporated known developments that are under submission, known developments that are being discussed. We've also included the entire Warwick Industrial Park in this. So the way it started out, we had several meetings, Zoom meetings with Warwick staff to look at the areas to include in the study. We know where the existing system is. We needed to analyze where we thought future growth would be. And then we could do our population and flow projections to enter into the network on our computer modeling to analyze the system. Just to confirm, the existing drainage area that enters the existing sewer system is approximately 116 hectares. The proposed drainage area that we have in this report is approximately 260 hectares. So it's more than doubled, and that's residential properties, commercial properties, and industrial as well. We've made assumptions based on, I guess, standard practice as best we could with growth that's taken place there so far to come up with these projections, as well as included various developments where the developers have let us know how many lots they truly envision are taking place. So we've incorporated all of that as best we could into this, and that's reflected in our existing maps as well as proposed condition maps. The study did include video inspection by camera inspection through all of the existing sewers within Watford by CC Dance. We have reviewed all of these videos, and to be fair, the existing sewer does appear to be in quite good shape still. We did note, I believe, 6 areas where we've noted a compilation of calcite buildup within the sewers, and it tends to never really decrease in size. They typically continue to increase. So we have noted from the video 6 areas that that we do recommend be repaired. They basically restrict the diameter of the sewer, which causes, I guess, less capacity through that specific run. Just to confirm, there are 2 separate sanitary sewer systems in Watford. There's essentially a northerly portion as well as a southerly, and they both outlet individually through their respective sewers into the existing pump station, which then each of which has its own force main, which is directs flows under pressure southerly to the sewage lagoons. The existing pump station has excess capacity right now to clearly handle all existing flows. Our analysis has shown that it does have the capacity to handle a significant portion of the proposed flows as well. We believe the existing sewage lagoons are essentially running at 50% capacity. So there is ample ability there to accept increased flows as well. While we note there are many developments that are underway or certainly proposed, we would suggest a review of this report take place potentially, I would say, every 5 to 10 years, just to confirm. It's nice to say we have a huge area proposed for development, but if they truly don't take place, this report should be a standalone. It wouldn't warrant review. But if these developments do truly take place at a quicker rate, perhaps than what Watford has seen in the past, then it would warrant review, I would suggest, every 5 to 10 years. And again, that's subject to how much growth actually takes place. We have included cost estimates in this report for the engineering component as well as construction. We've estimated them all in 2022 dollars. The total cost for all of these improvements is approximately $3.6 million. We did do a quick review of our draft report in comparison with the DC study that's underway. We're quite confident when we say that our report is definitely conservative in comparison to the DC projected populations. We're quite confident this might be perhaps, well, there's no doubt it's conservative. They have, I believe, based theirs more on historical build out trends, where we're going more with what we truly believe are potential expansion areas. This wasn't intended to be a 2 or 3 year analysis. Their report suggests projections of populations in 2021 clearly. I think they have 2031 and 2036. We don't have those. We've analyzed it essentially from current populations and taken it to what we believe is a considerable area. We've more than doubled the area that can come in. So to compare ours with the DC is not a simple task. It isn't apples and it's more like apples to oranges. The charts don't compare truly to how they've come up with theirs and ours. Ours is based on typical design standards and future growth areas. And again, we've more than doubled what's currently serviced there. So we're confident with our report. It's definitely conservative in comparison to the DC, but we think it's a little more perhaps realistic, at least based on site plans we currently have seen or that we're aware of that may be coming. The report is draft. So if there are any issues upon further review or this meeting that require further clarification or markups, we're certainly more than willing to do those and proceed with the final report.
Hey, before we go to questions, I just want to say a big thank you to former councils who prepared for growth by making the lagoon system the size it is so that it could accommodate the growth that we're seeing today. That certainly has saved us a lot. So we appreciate those decisions made. Questions for Mr. Learman tonight? I had a question, the 3 million, how much of that needs to be done in the next 5 years, Chris? Would you say, like,
It truly depends on how quickly people are developing. I know I've been dealing with well, many of you for several years. I've performed many designs for Warwick Township for the past decade at least. And I'll be honest, the growth rate we're seeing right now, or at least the interest, doesn't compare to what I've seen in the past decade at all. There hasn't truly been too much growth there per se. And we're looking at 3 or 4 subdivisions right now that could account for 12 to 1,400 people. And that's at roughly 400 lots, single family lots, residential lots, at 3 people per. So we're looking at potential expansion that truly hasn't been seen here, I would suggest, in at least a decade. So to say how much needs to go and where, that would be subject to definitely some further discussions with Warwick personnel and us. I know there's the one development just north of Confederation, west of Tim Hortons, that's well underway by their engineers for submission. I think it's approximately 150 lots. It fronts John Street, I believe, heading south, and the sewer system through there cannot take those additional flows with full build out. It can accept the first phase of their development, which is, I believe, a 3-phase prong. So it is okay for that. But once they get to full build out, that's probably an area we would focus on as long as it proceeds, where we've suggested, I think it's in our report as well, 2 sections of sanitary sewer that would essentially front their site. It would flow to the west and then southerly along the westerly limits of town to the pump station. I believe the value of those 2 combined is approximately $700,000-ish. Those would be 2 we would focus on. But if another developer comes along with more urgency and detailed drawings in a complete package that's more advanced, we may have to shift. It's hard to say where to focus on. I know the calcite areas, I think the 6 areas combined to a little under $50,000. Those ones I think are pretty simple, that we could recommend. Those would be relatively urgent. But anything above that, it truly hinges on development rates and where. If the industrial park had several people that were interested, or huge areas with considerable flows, we would revamp our efforts. The costs are all in this report. We have to pick and choose which ones are warranted more than others. I wouldn't want to suggest spending 1 million of the 3.8 right off the hop, and heaven forbid we pick the wrong spot. So I mean, it does hinder on liaison back and forth, obviously with your personnel, in accordance with this report. It really hinders on how quickly developers are truly building here.
Okay, Councillor Westgate.
Chris, the new line from the north, it has enough fall to come all the way?
Yes, are you referring to from the industrial park?
Yes.
Yeah, we did do plan and profiles, drawings of all of these. They're not overly detailed in terms of what you would tender out for construction, but we are confident with our inverts and the slopes and the sizes we've designed that there is enough fall to get there from the industrial park, across Nauvoo and heading south. Yes.
And would we have much depth in the industrial park, or it wouldn't be fairly shallow?
Well, I don't know the exact numbers, Jerry. I'd have to look them up, but I know you're
That's okay. Yeah.
you're significantly deeper than the one sewer we have that feeds that site. I believe you're at least a minimum 4 feet deep, if not more.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
The calcite, does the pipe have to be dug up to get it out, or can you clean it out with a snake or?
There are certain firms that can do it. They say they can. I've never had it in a tender before where we tried to do it without a replacement. So what we've costed in here is replacement of those sections. Can it be done with less invasive methods?
Replace?
I believe it can. I've never tendered it. I've never seen it. I believe it can, but it's a specialized task. And I would hesitate to think they're local, that's for sure. But we've priced it for essentially a recon job where the asphalt is removed and it's essentially a patch replacement.
Or by the pictures, does it look like there's a dip in the pipe there anyway?
It doesn't suggest there are dips in the pipe, to be fair.
Okay.
Some of them are worse than others. I think the photos were included in this report for reference. There were more areas than the 6. We flagged the most significant 6. The other ones we didn't deem were warranted at this time. Certainly they're documented of where they were, but we've documented the main 6, the primary 6. And if you look at a few of those photos, some of them are less than 50% capacity.
Yeah. So it'd be wise maybe to try one by cleaning it first and see what happens.
Yes, I agree.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Councillor Morris.
This maybe isn't for Chris, but for our own staff. What kind of funds do we have in the sewer reserve? Approximately.
Give me 10 minutes and I'll figure it out.
Okay, thanks, Trevor.
I know in the past, our habit is whenever we redo a street, we redo all of the infrastructure that goes along with that street. So I think that served us well as far as this report as well. We replace all of the sewer systems and everything, which makes a big difference, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Any other questions? Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
that definitely is a factor. A lot of these are in standalone areas right now that potentially may need to be realigned from the locations we've shown here based on what the actual development layouts are of the internal roadways. But if there is the ability to link these with other requirements, other reconstruction projects, water or storm, there's no doubt savings would be experienced.
Well, this report will help staff in determining what roads and things need to be done again in the future, I'm sure. So with this being a draft, thank you. Amanda, do you have a comment?
I was actually just going to comment that I think Trevor has the information that Councillor Morris was seeking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Unaudited at the end of 2020, it's 373,000 we have sitting in that reserve.
Councillor Westgate?
But we still owe for the lagoon system upgrade,
Yes.
and we're paying that for what, the next 20 years?
I think you're down to 17 years.
Okay.
And it was an Infrastructure Ontario loan, so it was good rates. Not as good as they are now, but it was good rates.
This being a draft report, are we looking for approval of this report or just to receive and file tonight? Or how does this?
if council is comfortable, Mayor Runbout's approval would be the preference to kind of close the file and get them these projects scheduled in our capital budget. But if there are more questions or concerns, or council requires any additional information from Chris and Spreed Associates, we'd be happy to take that direction as well.
Okay, Councillor Mitchell, we are just finishing up with Chris's report on the sewer system. Do you have any questions on that report?
Not at this time. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Westgate,
I'll move to accept the report.
okay. And seconded by Councillor White. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of accepting that report? That is carried. Thank you, Council. We have no new business, and so we are going to be moving into the closed meeting session for the reasons listed on our agenda tonight. We will be returning into open session just to close out the meeting and do bylaws. However, we won't be returning to YouTube. So I wish everyone a good evening. We do need a motion to move into closed session. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.